This week on ATV News, President Obama celebrated his last state dinner, Metro wants to cut back on late-night service to make more time for repairs, and Justice Ginsburg will appear in an opera at the Kennedy Center. I'm Katie Malone.
And I'm Nadia Slocum. ATV News starts now.
Obama celebrated his last state dinner as president this week. This final event for the Italian Prime Minister and his wife was bittersweet, according to Michelle Obama, and one of the largest state dinners of Obama's presidency. The star-studded event had a nostalgic tone as the president commented on the ups and downs of these last 8 years, but guest speakers tried to lighten the mood with jokes and commentary. Even the food was symbolic of Obama's 2 terms, with vegetables pulled from the First Lady's garden, prepared in traditional Italian style by Chef Mario Battelli.
A new video has gone viral as a transit police officer knocks down and arrests a teenager who was only carrying a bag of chips and a lollipop onto the train this past Tuesday. Bystanders recorded the video on the platform showing the excessive force that the officer used while trying to detain the teen. The case has been looked over since Tuesday, but viewers have soon realized that this incident was not the first where transit police officer Andy Vinn was caught using excessive force to arrest a pedestrian. This past June, bystanders videotaped Vinn as he pushed 2 teenagers down while trying to arrest them, as they were eating Wendy's on the Green Line. While the teens were charged for assault of an officer and unlawful entry, Vinn wasn't charged with anything. The charges were later thrown out. In 2010, Vinn was sued after he allegedly grabbed a 20-year-old woman by the neck at the Gallery Place stop as she was exiting the station. The 20-year-old woman said that Vinn grabbed her by the neck and forced her down to the ground as she tried to exit the station. Vinn's attorney claims that his client used the appropriate use of force to detain the woman at the time. The case was later settled outside of court that year. As of today, Vinn is still employed as a transit officer, even with all of these incidents on record. I guess we'll just have to see how this plays out. Now let's go to Penny Commit with the latest in entertainment.
Thanks, Nadia. I'm Penny Commit with ATV Entertainment. Last Friday, reality TV star and social icon Kim Kardashian turned 36. Unfortunately, Kardashian lovers everywhere were disappointed because the socialite did not post any updates on social media. Apparently, Kim has decided to hide from the spotlight since she fell victim to a robbery 2 weeks ago in Paris. Her assistant, Stephanie Shepard, posted a message on Kim's subscription site that said that Kim wants to avoid publicity because she is still shaken up over the burglary. Sister Khloe Kardashian recently appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show, where she told fans that her sister is still unwell, but that their family is sticking together while they handle the incident privately. The police have not arrested anyone yet for the burglary. Speaking of the Kardashians, Kim's husband, Kanye West, has caused some turmoil with fellow hip-hop artist Jay-Z. Kanye and Jay-Z have been performing together in the Watch the Throne tour, which has drawn in big crowds and big money. During their show in Seattle this past weekend, Kanye criticized Jay-Z on stage mid-performance. Kanye bashed Jay-Z for never bringing his family to visit. A source from the New York Post said that Jay-Z confidentially expressed his dislike for Kanye, calling him crazy and eccentric. After these remarks, fans wonder if the duo will continue touring. Liam Payne from the hit boy band One Direction gained some spotlight this week. Rumors have circled saying that pop singer and every girl's middle school crush is father-to-be. Payne and former X Factor judge Cheryl Cole, who have been dating for about a year now, was recently seen together on a date. Reporters say that Cole was wearing a loose-fitting dress and an oversized jacket, an unlikely date night outfit for the English singer. Neither Cheryl nor Liam have commented on these rumors, but the One Directioner recently posted on social media that he is the luckiest man in the world. Perhaps Payne is foreshadowing fatherhood. In other news, Lady Gaga released her 4th album this weekend, entitled Joanne. During an interview with CNN, the singer said that one of her favorite songs on the album is Angel Down, which she wrote about death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, Lady Gaga wrote the song with the hope that it will help seek justice for African American families. The album has a total of 11 songs, including singles Perfect Illusion and Million Reasons. That's all for ATV Entertainment. I'm Penny Commit. Now back to Katie and Nadia in the studio.
Thanks, Penny. So, Kim Ye and Kanye, I guess they're two different people. You know, Kim Ye is just Kim and Kanye's shenanigans, and then Kanye is just, of course, Kanye.
He's always been really outspoken, so I don't understand why it's so surprising that he said this on stage. Like, it's just another Kanye thing he's doing.
But I just love Jay and Beyonce. You know, even though Lemonade is just Lemonade, they still seem to just be a unit, you know?
Still the power couple.
The power couple. In Philadelphia this past Thursday, hundreds of enthusiasts and supporters celebrated the second anniversary of the decriminalization of marijuana in the Philadelphia area. The group formed a pop-up weed garden outside the Art Museum where they lit up their Mary Jane proudly. 2 years ago, Councilman Kenny championed the bill to pass marijuana because Philadelphia was the only municipality in the state still conducting custodial arrests for pot. Kenny also pushed for the bill to be passed after studies concluded that black marijuana smokers were actually arrested 5 times the rate of white smokers. Participants report that the event was even more successful than they could have ever imagined. Even Philadelphia police officers attended the event, saying that it was very successful and full of munchies, and a great and peaceful way to spend a Thursday afternoon.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will make an appearance on stage for one night only in an opera at the Kennedy Center. She'll be playing the Duchess of Krakenthorpe in The Daughter of the Regiment for the show's opening night on November 12th. Ginsburg shared a love of opera with the late Antonin Scalia and has appeared on stage as an extra in the past, but this will be her official debut. Some of her lines have been changed from the original script to comment on her duties as a justice, and while she was asked to perform throughout the show's entire run, she declined doing more than one appearance. Now let's hear from Mariah Espada with this week's sports update.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Mariah Espada, and here's what's happening in sports. This past Wednesday in hockey, Austin Matthews made a stunning debut for the Toronto Maple Leafs by scoring 4 goals just 40 minutes into the game, an all-time record for a rookie in his first NHL tournament. Unfortunately, despite Matthews' impressive performance, the Leafs lost 5-4, with the Ottawa Senators scoring the winning goal just 37 seconds into overtime. Fortunately for the Cleveland Indians, luck ran thicker than it did for the Leafs this past Tuesday in the MLB playoffs. The team beat the Toronto Blue Jays in a victory 3-0 game, giving them their 6th American League pennant and letting them head to the World Series for the first time since 1997. That's right, the Indians have been waiting for this moment for nearly 2 decades. We'll see if their winning streak continues in the upcoming championship series. Be sure to also look forward to the NBA season that kicks off this upcoming Monday when the Cavaliers face the Knicks in an anticipated game. For sports, I'm Mariah Espada. Back to Katie and Nadia at the desk.
Thanks, Mariah. Now let's go to Casey Wexler for a report on the Student Worker Alliance's protest.
Give us a sustainable contract.
Last Wednesday, protesters gathered in front of MGC on behalf of Aramark workers, who are currently working without a contract.
We work so hard, and they don't want to give us more money, but we deserve it because we're trying to keep the students happy.
The protesters are made up of a coalition of student groups and Aramark workers. The student groups are led by the Student Worker Alliance.
The reason why we're organizing these protests is because of issues with Aramark in the current contract negotiations. So for those who might not be aware, starting I think around late September, early October, Aramark's contract with the union expired. So the issue here really stems from the fact that in the past couple days, Aramark has really walked away from the negotiating table.
This is the latest in a string of protests against Aramark's refusal to meet workers' demands for higher wages and more benefits.
Well, the only thing I say about Aramark is that they need to get it together, because we'll work with them, but they got to work with us too.
Aramark and AU Dining Services has not yet commented on this round of protests, but on October 20th, a new round of contract negotiations will begin. Student Worker Alliance and the Coalition of Student Organizations has indicated that protests will continue if workers' demands are not met in this new round of negotiations. For ATV News, I'm Casey Wexler, reporting.
Thanks, Casey. Tensions have been really high on campus lately when it comes to Aramark and their workers.
Really, because they're not treating them correctly, and that reflects on how they work too. I can't imagine having to go to work knowing that my benefits are going to be paid for, and then still having to work for at least like 10 hours a day.
I'm really hoping it gets sorted out soon. It's been really stressful for everyone lately.
Yeah, especially since these people are dedicating their lives to work and also to just make us happy.
Definitely. A 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit Japan this week, but fortunately no major injuries were reported. Close to 80,000 households experienced blackouts, but power was back up within the day. There have also been reports of damaged housing, including places completely flattened by the earthquake, and major roads have been closed for inspection. Although no tsunami warnings have been issued, aid groups ready to offer help if needed, especially considering the possibility of strong aftershocks. Now let's go to ATV Politics with Elise Metcalf.
Thanks, Katie. Welcome to ATV Politics. I'm Lise Metcalf. The final presidential debate took place on Wednesday, marking less than 3 weeks until the election. Moderator Chris Wallace from Fox News asked the candidates about key policy issues, such as abortion and gun control, and the candidates responded with clashing opinions. The most striking moment of the debate was when Trump made it clear he would not commit to accepting the results of the election, stating, "I will keep you in suspense." Last Thursday saw another woman come forward to accuse Trump of inappropriate physical contact. The woman, Karina Virginia, alleged that Trump unexpectedly put his arm around her and touched her breasts at the US Open tournament in 1998. During the debate, Trump stood by his claim that the sexual assault allegations from various women against him are 100% fabricated. Both candidates cracked jokes about each other at the Al Smith charity dinner on Thursday night, prompting both laughs and boos from the audience members. The dinner, an annual Catholic fundraiser for needy children, was fraught with tension and awkwardness. Trump implied that Clinton hates Catholics, and Clinton joked that Trump had sent a hearse to pick her up from the event. The tone mimicked that of the entire election campaign and left many wishing the election would just come faster. The latest polls show Clinton leading Trump by 5 points. Polls also indicate that Clinton has the lead in many battleground states, with 10 of them leaning Democrat, including Florida and Pennsylvania, 2 states with a high number of electoral votes. In order for Trump to stand a chance at winning, he must turn Florida and Ohio red, and win a few other states too. That's it for this week in politics. For ATV News, I'm Lise Metcalf. Back to Katie and Nadia in the studio.
Thanks, Elise.
I can never seem to wrap my head around what these candidates are actually saying in the debates.
It's been probably one of the craziest election seasons yet.
They remind me of my siblings fighting for a cookie.
I know, I can't wait till November 9th when we have the votes counted and the drama's finally over.
We could only hope so. The 2017 nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame have been announced, and this year's group has something for almost everyone. Tupac Shakur, the West Coast rapper from the 90s, has been nominated to be inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame, along with artists such as Electric Light Orchestra, Jane's Addiction, Pearl Jam, and Steppenwolf, just to name a few. To be eligible for a nomination, an individual artist or band must have released their first single or album at least 25 years prior to the year of their nomination. If you do the math, the 2017 nominees have had their first record label no later than 1991. If Tupac is inducted in 2017, he will be the first solo hip-hop artist to join the Hall of Fame. 5 other rap acts already have been inducted in the Hall of Fame, which includes NWA, Public Enemy, the Beastie Boys, Run DMC, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 2017 inductees will be announced later in December. The induction ceremony will be held at Barclays Center in Brooklyn next April and will be broadcasted on HBO. Now let's hear from Jonah Wolf with ATV Finance.
Thanks, Nadia. I'm Jonah Wolf with the Weekly Finance Report. It appears that AT&T is in talks to acquire Time Warner. Sources Friday told the New York Times that Time Warner is seeking a price of $90 per share and that a deal could be announced over this weekend before markets open Monday morning. This would represent the largest media distribution merger in the U.S. this year. However, there's not yet word about whether regulators might block the deal due to antitrust concerns. New York's Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo signed into law Friday a bill that would fine residents of that state who use Airbnb and similar services to rent their homes on a short-term basis. Repeat offenders could face fines as high as $7,500. Proponents of the measure say that it protects New Yorkers' interests over those of a corporation like Airbnb, but the website claims the law is designed to protect the hotel industry, even at the expense of individual New Yorkers. In food and beverages, the strike is over at 2 Kentucky plants that produce Jim Beam bourbon whiskey. The employees, who are represented by the United Food and Commercial Workers International, voted overwhelmingly to sign a contract that converts more of their temporary workers to full-time. Workers will return to the plants in Kentucky on Monday. And finally, a look at the markets for the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average stayed even to close at 18,146. The S&P 500 closed at 2,141, up 0.4% on the week. And the Nasdaq Composite rose 0.8% to close at 5,257. That's all from the Finance Desk. I'm Jonah Wolf for ATV News.
Thanks, Jonah.
I think it's interesting that it looked like Jim Beam was facing some of the same problems that our workers are facing, where the workers are fighting for rights against the corporation and stuff like that.
Well, we also have to take into consideration that these are people and that they rely on the corporations just as much as we rely on them. And their finances are not only in the hands of us, but in the hands of their officials.
It's definitely lives being affected every day by all these protests at AU and across the country, it seems like.
Exactly.
According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, STD rates in the United States have reached a record high. Their annual report, which tracks the numbers of reported STDs, shows between a 5 and 20% increase in the most common STDs. However, these are just the reported numbers because many STDs go undiagnosed or untreated, even though a number of them are curable with antibiotics. The CDC also found that young people and gay or bisexual men are at the greatest risks of contracting an STD, and a program official insists that we must mobilize, rebuild, and expand services to stop the rates from rising. Now let's go to Grace Loudon for World News.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Grace Loudon with the World News Report. This week, the Supreme Court in Pakistan ruled that schizophrenia is not a mental illness, and Imdad Ali, a schizophrenic man convicted of murder, is facing execution. Ali's wife, Safiya Bano, pleaded in court on Friday to appeal her husband's conviction on the grounds of his mental instability. And the Reprieve International Rights Group is pleading the Pakistani president to urgently intervene to halt Ali's execution. The United Nations also said that executing Ali would violate international law. The so-called Russian Armada passed through the English Channel on its way to Syria. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg addressed concerns while regarding the feat, stating that while Russia has the right to operate in international waters, the new carrier group might be used to increase attacks on Aleppo. The world has been watching Russia closely after its intense bombing of Aleppo, causing many members of the international community to call for an international court investigation to determine if Russia has committed war crimes. It's day 7 of the fight to remove ISIS from Mosul, a major city in Iraq that has been acting as ISIS's unofficial capital for years. Last Thursday, the first American soldier died in combat since the fighting began in Mosul. On Friday, ISIS launched its first counterattack on a city near Mosul, and an estimated 1 million civilians are still living in the city. And the UN has said that an exodus following the battle could be one of the largest man-made displacements in recent history. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte recently announced that he is severing ties with the U.S. President Duterte apparently wants to rekindle his country's relationship with China, commenting about befriending Russia. Even though the Philippines will not stop investing and trading with Americans, the U.S. is still losing a key ally in the region. Embassy spokeswoman Molly Cosina said, "The United States will honor its alliance commitments and treaty obligations and expects the Philippines to do the same." That's This Week in World News. Back to Katie and Nadia in the studio.
Thanks, Grace.
The UN has been making some very interesting choices lately, wouldn't you say?
Like what?
Well, how about Wonder Woman being appointed as the new ambassador for gender studies and equality?
Why would they pick a fictional woman when there's so many great influential women out there?
That's what so many other people are wondering, but the UN is the UN.
Yikes.
Metro's board of officials have recently gone back to the drawing board. Metro wants to cut back on late-night service to make more time for repairs. With all of the complaints and dissatisfaction, Metro has come up with 4 proposals to try to mandate the problem. Since May of this year, the Metro system has changed the operation times to accommodate the repairs and tests that need to be done on the rail system, which has led to an increase in delays and more crowded boarding conditions. The closing time of the Metro Rail has been changed from what was 3 a.m. to now 12 a.m. City workers who work late nights complain to Metro officials that it is difficult for them to get back home after their night shifts. Other civilians are in disgust about the delays and want Metro's board members to come back with a better solution than cutting back the hours once again. Ideas are being discussed for now, but any further changes to the schedule will not be made until January of 2017. We'll just have to wait and see for further updates. Until then, stay safe, try to avoid that orange line, and save up some change, kiddos, because you might actually have to Uber everywhere. Now let's hear from Cordelia James with the weather report.
Thanks, Nadia. I'm Cordelia James with your weekly weather forecast. Tonight we can expect some Goldilocks perfect weather. Not too hot, not too cold, with clear skies and a temperature around 58 degrees. If you've been waiting for the perfect day to study on the quad or go for a walk around campus, you're in luck. The beginning of the week will be perfect for you with warm highs of 64 degrees. With winds moving into the DC region from the southeast at 13 miles per hour, if you plan on studying outdoors, you might want to hold on to your papers. As for those who are just waiting for the chilly fall weather to kick in, we're finally getting closer with highs in the upper 50s and lows in the upper 30s by the middle of the week. Be prepared to have your umbrellas ready by the end of the week with a 30% chance of scattered showers on Thursday and cloudy skies and sticky humidity as we move into the weekend. That's it for your weekly weather forecast. I'm Cordelia James, back to Katie and Nadia at the desk.
Thanks, Cordelia.
I'm so ready for true fall weather, for like sweaters and picking pumpkins like we have here.
I'm just still confused on whether I should wear shorts or if I can actually put jeans on. Like it's 80 degrees one day and then 59 the next.
It's just honestly a day-by-day craziness with the weather lately.
I'll still enjoy my pumpkin spice lattes.
Now let's go to Erin Doran and Danielle Dumais with What's Up AU.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Danielle Dumais.
And I'm Erin Doran, and this is What's Up AU.
On October 11th, AU celebrated National Coming Out Day with their annual event on the quad.
The atmosphere of the event was cheerful and welcoming. There were rainbow sashes for everyone, and the grass was covered with rainbow flags.
Students and members of AU Queers and Allies took pictures with the coming out door and were encouraged to write messages of love and encouragement on Post-it notes to stick on the door. Now for some upcoming events that everyone should look out for across campus.
Tomorrow, October 24th, Colleges Against Cancer will have a table for candygrams set up in Let's Hall from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Surprising a friend with candy and giving to a good cause makes this event extra sweet. Also at 8 p.m., AU Queers and Allies will hold their annual Halloween event, Queer Halloween, in the Hughes Formal Lounge. Come celebrate Halloween in a safe space. The Career Center will host Turner Broadcasting Systems for an information session on Tuesday, October 25th, in MGC 245 from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Turner owns networks like CNN, NBA TV, and HBO. You must sign up for this event in advance. Also on Tuesday, NIH will host an employer in residence in the Career Center meeting room from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. This event is a chance for students interested in specific jobs and programs to learn from an NIH representative. You must also sign up for this event in advance.
This Thursday, October 27th, the College of Arts and Sciences will host a presidential predictions event in the Abramson Family Recital Hall from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. This event will include 2 political pundits, AU Professor Alan Lichtman and University of Ottawa Professor Kenton White. They will discuss the race and their predictions for the election. In the meantime, don't forget to send in your absentee ballots or go to the polls on November 8th. The Center for Latin American and Latino Studies will host the Robert A. Pastor North America Research Initiative, a 2-day event in SIS from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday and Friday. Drop by to meet with career scholars from the U.S., Canada, and Mexico and learn about their research focused on North American integration. On Friday the 28th, show some school spirit at one of the many sporting events on campus, such as diving and swimming, meets between AU and Howard University, located at the large pool and Bender Arena. If you're in the mood for some comedy, check out the hilarious play A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum next weekend at the Greenberg Theater. On Saturday, Sister Sister will host the first annual Sister Sister Summit from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Tavern. This half-day event is geared toward empowering women of color and will include workshops, speakers, and networking opportunities. Also on Saturday, check out the SUB comedy show in the Tavern at 8 p.m., where SNL's A.D. Bryant and stand-up comedian Thomas Dale will perform. This event is free with an AU student ID.
That's it for What's Up AU. I'm Erin.
And I'm Danielle.
Back to Katie and Nadia in the studio.
Thanks, ladies.
The Career Center is always open with new opportunities and internships. Even though I'm a freshman, I always know they'll have something lined up for me.
It can be a little bit overwhelming because we have so much time to think about that kind of stuff, and like entering the adult world is kind of scary, but I'm definitely excited that we're going to be prepared once we graduate.
We're here, so we're definitely prepared.
That's it for ATV News this week. I'm Katie Malone.
And I'm Nadia Slocum. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.